Breeze, the pinnacle of National Hunt jump racing, 4 days to savour, and after a long and winding road, we're finally here. Good morning, Niall, and how excited are you about today?
That's fantastic. It's fantastic to be here. And we were just talking off camera a second ago. It's a bit different than normal. Normal in winter time, you're used to running in the mud and the sticky, horrible ground, and you get a bit of spring ground this week. It's the opposite. We've been largely dry all winter, and coming here, we'll hear from John Pullen Clark, of course, in due course. But it's officially soft in the old course we're racing on today and tomorrow.
And what a job he's had. I mean, you mentioned the driest season from memory for quite some time, but also we've had rain, sleet, snow, wind, everything to contend with.
And in the back of that means slow grass growth. So it's the track will not be in the perfect condition that they'd like, but they can't beat the elements.
What about the stories today? And, we look at those fine performances in the past, years gone by. It's all about entering history books, isn't it? And Constitution Hill, all eyes will be on him. I think he's the horse on everybody's lips. Is he extraordinary? Is it his opportunity to cement his place as one of the greats?
Absolutely. He looks it so far. It's great to hopefully see him win a champion of hurdle. He's 1-3 to do so. And you look at Nicky Henderson, look at sometimes trainers' records. You go back to CULN winning it 3 times, Punjabi, Bouvier, Binocular, Epiton. The trainer's got such a good record. And I think out of all them, at the minute, he's as exciting or more exciting of what's to come. I really hope he stays in one piece and we see him doing this to Bracken, do it longevity over a few different seasons. How the other jockey's going to beat him, I like to move it. It'll make the running not so sleepy. It depends what side of bed he gets out of, but he might race prominently. You imagine State Man will be close to it, and Nico de Monville will just sit fourth. You try to think, how do you get him beaten? Ground, trip, I can't see. I just think it's going to be the perfect setup for him.
I think you just sit back and enjoy another glass of wine or Guinness or whatever they're enjoying here at the festival. The fans are beginning to surface. The gates open at 10:30. We can still see actually behind us some horses working as well, and not only obviously when it comes to the race times, but so much happens behind the scenes in the mornings here.
Well, we saw it with Lydia and Ruby yesterday, and Nick Luck out in the middle of it. Is Gordon Eddy's 57 horses over here, William Mullins more than that. It's walking in today just to get them here, and there's a couple of non-runners today. It's if you got a fancied horse or you got any sort of horse, just to get them here is amazing, and looking forward to it all.
Do you know what I'm most looking forward to?
Go on.
That the talking has ended because there is such a big build-up to these 4 days. The best 4 days, I think, for punters as well. But I mean, it is a massive build-up. But I think this is the meeting that showcases our sport in the very brightest of lights.
Absolutely, like it or not. And today, I think, is a really good punting card. We get underway with a cracking Sky Bet Supreme, the Arkle, Desert Dynamo going forward with El Fabiolo and Jumbo on the big clash. You've got a competitive renewal of the Ultima. I don't think it's a vintage renewal. It looks competitive. You've last year's first 3 home. Corrick Ram, I think, deserves to be favoured. The Mares Hurdle, obviously, with Constitution Hill.
The Mares is such a deep race, isn't it? Probably one of the best renewals I've ever seen.
Yeah, because of Constitution Hill, you've ended up with Epiton and Honeysuckle in that, and Marie's Rock, because of the ground, is not on the Stairs Hurdle. She's come here, so the Mares Hurdle really has been boosted by it.
Indeed, Epiton, a 6-time Grade 1 winner, but I think definitely Honeysuckle, we talk about those powerful stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think she would be just an unbelievable winner if she was to do it today. She has regressed. Can you see her upping her game to be successful this afternoon, Honeysuckle, finally?
Yeah, I can. Obviously, trip ground. Has she regressed that much? I think today will tell us a fair bit about her. I think it's quite a deep race. She wears it well. I think it's a massive price at 28 to 1. Queensbrook has good course form in the race. Echo Serene, I think it's a chance. I think it's an absolute cracker. 4:10. I'm really looking forward to it.
Buzzing?
Absolutely.
Are so buzzing for day 1 of this year's Cheltenham Festival. And with that in mind, let's go back to Gary, who's now with Lisa.
Guys, thank you so much. Yes, welcome back to our position here at Parade Ringside at Cheltenham, and a very good morning and welcome to our top team here this morning, Lisa O'Neill and Chris Dixon. Guys, you're very welcome. How are the excitement levels? All good? You've been here a couple of days, Lisa, at this stage?
Yeah, I arrived over on Sunday, and it's very much the calm before the storm on Sunday and Monday, but the excitement is really rising, and there's people ready to, I think, get really revved up for the week ahead. It's so exciting and really looking forward to it.
You've obviously still got your close connection with the Elliott camp. What's the mood there? What's going to be a good return for the yard in the week, do you think?
It'd be lovely to get it off to a start on the first day. I think every stable thinks like that too, so it'd be fantastic to get the week off to a good start. Very much anticipation, excitement, raring to go, and just hoping we can hit the ground running.
And what's going to be the big story you're looking out for on day one? Constitution Hill, obviously in the champion hurdle, but Honeysuckle, I know you're a huge fan of hers.
Yeah, massive fan of Honeysuckle. I think it'd bring the house down if she did come into the winners' enclosure, and I suppose possibly end her career here today. We can't forget that either. But it's such a great card. Constitution Hill, flawless. Can't wait to see what he can do today. But just so excited for the card ahead and the week as well, Gary.
Well, it's great to have Lisa here and Chris as well. And Chris, congratulations amongst the winners last night with the new recruit painter's palette. That put a bit of pep in your step coming down here.
Decent start to the week, isn't it? It was a decent pit stop on the way down. Wolverhampton was a good point distance-wise, and it's made it well worthwhile going in there. Yeah.
I presume you're in full jumps mode from now on, though. Are you? Forget about those flat pieces.
For a morning, anyway. Very much looking forward to the week ahead. I mean, I'd be probably one of the people doing this job that gets less revved about it from an early stage. I start thinking about it last week, really. It's not something that I'm thinking about the whole winter. But once it's around, you can't help but enjoy it. You can't help but look forward to it, because you just go down a card and the number of top quality horses that you're seeing and seeing them competing against each other. Even though the festival nowadays is diluted compared to what it has been in the past, and you see the result of that with the champion hurdle that has got such a short price favourite. But even if you put everything into there, if the mare's hurdle wasn't there, it'd still be a very short price favourite. And what it has at least done is produce what looks on paper a brilliant race in the mare's hurdle this afternoon. But very much looking forward to seeing him. The exciting thing about Constitution Hill is you just don't know how good he is. I mean, he's got to an extremely high rating. He's only just lower than what Hurricane Fly was, for example, these peak on official ratings terms, and he's got there this quickly, and he's done it all on the bridle. You don't really know what's there, do you?
Of course, and it was here last year in that Supreme Novice Hurdle that he really had all the ingredients to produce that career-defining performance so far. But obviously, as you say, Chris, the best is probably still to come. Do you think it sets up maybe for another real tour de force for him today?
Yeah, I think it does. I was just saying to my brother in the media centre there, you sort of look and you know, I suppose in a race like that, what you want to see is a horse produce astronomical ratings, something that is out of the ordinary. And there is a chance that it happens, because he's got a proper rival in Stateman, who's a good horse in his own right, rated in the high 160s, multiple Grade 1 winner, horse with form around here as well. And then there isn't the depth behind those two necessarily, but there's plenty of solid horses, and if Stateman beats the rest well enough and Constitution Hill does what I think most people expect he might do, then you are talking big figures. And if you're a fan of form and ratings, that's the kind of thing that you want to see when you kind of, from a betting point of view, it maybe isn't as interesting. So very much looking forward to seeing what he can do this afternoon, and worth bearing in mind, comparing the times last year of his Supreme with the champion hurdle on the same day and how much quicker he was. He'd have won that by a wide margin. It kind of shows you what we've had in store for the full season. We've seen a bit of it already, but hopefully we get even more today and he produces fireworks.
Well said, Chris. Thanks for the time being. Plenty more from Chris and Lisa throughout the course of the next 2.5 hours or so. It's all stretched out ahead of us here. 4 days of breathless action at the Cheltenham Festival. It's time now to say a very good morning to Nick Lightfoot back at headquarters.
Yeah, good morning to you, Gary, to Chris, to Lisa, Niall and Rachel out, of course. Good morning, everyone, as the weeks of previews have ticked into days and now hours, soon it'll be just minutes, until the greatest show on turf, and for many, 4 of the best days that there are in sport. 1:30 and the Roar for the first race of the Cheltenham Festival 2023, which will be the Supreme Novices Hurdle. 7 races to enjoy today, quality all the way through. And here on Racing TV this week from 10 a.m. onwards, each and every one of the 4 days, you will not miss a beat. We've got all 28 races coming live and hours of preview and review as well. Lots to look forward to over the next 4 days of the Cheltenham Festival. Let's have a look at who might be the headline makers on day one. And here we go. As mentioned, 1:30 to get us going with the Roar on Champion Day, as it is called. Tuesday the 14th of March is the date that we've had etched in the calendars and the diaries for a long, long time. Right, we'll start with the Supreme Novices Hurdle. Willie Mullins, 7 winners since he rode the first back in the mid-90s with Tourist Attraction. He's got a strong squad for this, but the headline act is probably Facile Vega, who needs to atone for what happened last time. Willie, well, that's been one of the big talking points going into the Supreme. It's the first race of 28 at the festival. And might it be Mullins again? The first chase, which is the Arkle, the Grade 1 novice over 2 miles. El Fabiolo, quite the buzz about this fella. There's a lot of excitement about him as he bids to take down the horse who beat him by such a narrow margin last year at Aintree when they met in a novice hurdle. That was John Bon. They meet again 11 months on, so fascinating that El Fabiolo is going to match up with this fella John Bon, who was given quite a fright last time at Warwick by that horse over on the far side, the sole rival Calico. He showed brilliance in the Henry VIII at Sandown earlier in the season, and John Bon, 7 years on, bids to emulate his full brother by winning the Arkle. That was Duvan. A little bit later on, and we've got the first handicap of the day. And there you are, last year's winner of the Ultimate, just jumping into frame there. Neither one of the first two as we see it. Jericho Rock, and nearest to us, Oscar Elite. Well, he's back for more, but he's got to down this fella, Korak Rambler, who bids to become the first horse since Un Temps Pour Two in 2016-17 to win this race twice. That ride was so good that it was judged Ride of the Year by Derek Fox at the McCoy Awards at the end of the season. So that's the first chase before the big one of the lot. And the racing world will hold its breath in expectation more than anything else. It's not the betting race for many, and Constitution Hill, after his absolute romp in the Supreme Novices Hurdle, bids to confirm his ascent to the top of the tree by winning the Unibet Champion Hurdle and give Nicky Henderson yet another win in this race. It's not the biggest field. I think plenty in attendance at Cheltenham will be hoping for more of that and a star. In opposition, though, a man who's won 4 champion hurdles to Nicky Henderson's 8. That's Willie Mullins with State Man. He's got Vauban as well. But State Man over in Ireland has been carving out a very good CV for himself since he won the county hurdle last year. He's been brilliant at Grade 1 level this season so far, but so far is the key point because now he takes on Constitution Hill. They clash at the Unibet Champion Hurdle, the feature on day 1. And talking of clashes, we might have yet another one. And talking of champion hurdlers, there you go. Honeysuckle, the winner of 2 years ago and last year, dual champion hurdler. She's back to the scene of her British debut, where it all began when she won the Mares' Hurdle 3 years ago. So she bids to make her final start at Cheltenham, yet another winning one, and make it 4 from 4. She's been extraordinary, and it would raise the roof were she to win. In opposition is the horse who won, the mare who won the Mares' Hurdle last year. It was quite a surprise. She was 18-1, Marie's Rock. You won't be getting 18-1 if she's to win this time around. She's been very good when we've seen her. She's a real talent, and she's one of a very strong hand for Nicky Henderson. Marie's Rock bids for the double in the Mares' Hurdle. Now, the first of the 4-year-old races is the Boodles Juvenile Handicap Hurdle. It comes up as our penultimate race. It's our final hurdle. What about the horse on the far right there? That is Takeo, who in the colours of JP McManus, responsible for the winner last year, Brazil, bids to drop into handicap company from that good run in Grade 1, in a Grade 1 last time, and win. It would be the first success for Willie Mullins in the Boodles Juvenile Handicap Hurdle, a race which stretches back now 18 years since the festival went from 3 days to 4, and the 4-year-olds clash. Well, Willie Mullins has rather dominated this caption sequence so far, some of the shots we've seen, and he might just dominate the last race as well, because Gaillard de Menil, the grey there, could have been a formidable force in the Brown Advisory on Wednesday. They're going to go for the National Hunt Amateur Jockeys Novices Chase. Patrick Mullins bids for 4, which would be a record in this race. He and his father won this last year with Statler, and Gaillard de Menil might just be the banker for many on day 1. So that's a look at some of the horses who might start today. Confirmation of our running order: 1:30 for the Supreme, the Arkle's at 2:10, the Ultimate Handicap Chase, the first handicap is 2:50, then the big one, the 3:30, the Unibet Champion Hurdle before the 4:10, which is the Close Brothers Mares' Hurdle, 4:50 for the Boodles Juvenile, and the final race of the 7 is the 5:30, the Wellchild National Hunt Challenge Cup. That race now 3 miles 6. Switch from previous years in 4 miles, of course. Right, Midnight Ginger won't be running in the Mares, and Morning Soldier, number 13, out of the Boodles, horse number 13. But it's time we got back to Cheltenham, and in the build-up to the big meeting itself, certainly over the last 48 hours or so, the weather has been key. So with an update on that, let's get back to Niall.
And welcome back to Cheltenham. It's time now to get a going update with John Pullen. It's been a stressy few days, hasn't it? And the forecast keeps changing. 7 mils the last 24 hours. Where are we at?
Yeah, it's as you say, it's been a bit of a challenge and an ever-changing forecast. But no, we had 7 mil. Most of that came sort of around 5 o'clock yesterday evening. Quite heavy rain for about an hour there. So 7 mils, but just a little bit then before midnight, but dry since midnight, apart from a little bit drizzle this morning. Nothing too significant volume-wise. Forecast today, dry throughout the day now. So we're soft ground. It will be testing for day one, but we've got a dry day ahead.
Because it's been such a strange winter. We've been racing on largely drier ground than we're normally used to. You come to your spring festivals, the ground drying out, so it's the other way around today.
Yeah, it is. It's been a challenge. The long range forecasts were all indicating a dry period right up to this week really, and if anything, last week was forecast to be cold. There was talks of beasts of the east again and things like that. So yes, we did a bit of watering early doors, but that, as much as anything, was to get the grass growing again.
Yeah.
We've had a really challenging summer, driest for a long, long time. That carried on into the autumn. We were dry through the autumn as well, and even Jan, Feb, very little rainfall. So we had to start watering to get the grass going as much as anything. But we're soft ground for day one.
Your old course today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, new course. How's it looking? Similar?
Yeah, it walks a little bit better.
Right.
We always save that inside strip for Gold Cup Day, and there's certainly still some good to soft ground on that at the moment. As I say, dry today. We could dip down to -1, -2 overnight.
Frost covers, are you still on about?
Yeah, we'll look at it. We'll get an update later in the day, and we might just cover the vulnerable areas, takeoffs, landings, crossing points. But we'll be back up to positive temperatures by sort of 8 o'clock in the morning. Right. So not overly concerned at this stage unless that forecast changes later in the day. And largely dry tomorrow through much of racing. Probably last couple of races might just catch the next band of rain that's moving in tomorrow evening. And then Thursday looks like a blustery day. But looking at it at the moment, I think we'll probably start on something similar to where we are now, soft and good to soft on Thursday.
In ways, but it's good that you don't have to water.
Yeah, it is. It's always a tricky decision. But with where we are with the forecast, that's not in any forethought at the moment.
Good stuff. Thanks very much for the update, and best of luck for the 4 days.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good update there. Important update, and something we'll stay across throughout the course of the morning going into the afternoon. And the afternoon will centre around Constitution Hill, bidding to etch his name into racing folklore by winning the Champion Hurdle, the race with the richest roll of honour on the day.
They're off. The Pigeon coming and taking up, but he's going to win it. The Pigeon wins the Champion Hurdle. And as they come to the line, Dawn Runnels won it. And it's the Branch going on to win his third Swerving Champion Hurdle. 4 festival wins running. Archibald hasn't been asked a question yet in the centre. Harley Eustace pulling it out from Archibald. Harley Eustace defends his title. And it's Annie Power comes towards it now. She's about 4 lengths clear. Viciosi jumped it perfectly. Honeysuckle in full bloom again. She stays on pathway. Back-to-back wins of the Unibet Champion Hurdle.
Yeah, some enduring memories, and you just think at 3:30 or just beyond what kind of images we're going to see put into some of the montages for the future when we see, more than likely, Constitution Hill rout them in the big one. It's the Champion Hurdle, and it's the centrepiece of day one. What about the betting for this year? 4 to 11 is the price of Constitution Hill, seen him shorter in a plate. 130 is the price for State Man, the stablemate of that one. 16 to 1 Vauban under Danny Mullins. 28 to 1 I Like to Move It, who likes the course. This will be different though. 35 to 1 Zana here, Not So Sleepy, 150 to 1, and Jason the Militant, 200 to 1. And it will be a case of, in just a few hours, the time for talking to be over. There was a lot of expectation going into this day last year. There was a clash with John Bond. There was a clash with Dysart Dynamo, who came down in the Supreme. But Constitution Hill was simply brilliant that day, winning by a cricket score. Since then, we've seen him just a couple of times, but if anything, the reputation has just grown and grown. The expectation is there. He's still a young horse. There are mentions of Isterbrak, comparisons with some of the greats. He hasn't won it yet, but we really hope to be wowed a little bit later on. In opposition, we are looking at a small field for the Champion Hurdle. Mentioned this earlier, State Man, who was rather a handicap. A good thing, it turned out in the County Hurdle on the final day of the Cheltenham Festival last year. He has gone from strength to strength since then. He's on a Grade 1 roll, but this will be the greatest test. And it might just be a surprise for a few, were State Man to give Willie Mullins a 5th win in the Champion Hurdle. We'll see. It's all to play for at 3:30. So that's the big question. I think of all the hours, as mentioned, the days, the weeks, the months for many, Gary, for many, the time for talking will be over. I think a lot of people just want to watch this. It's not the betting race, and see a king crowned, Constitution Hill.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Nick, though I'm sure there are a few who'll be happy to invest a few quid on the outcome nonetheless. Guys, obviously it's the centrepiece of day one. Chris, we've spoken about Constitution Hill a little bit at the top. We're going to have a look in a second back at that win in the Supreme Novice Hurdle here last year, which will lose nothing in the retelling, I'm sure you'll agree. Where does he rank for you at the moment, and where could he rank after today, do you feel?
In terms of the current crop, I think he's far and above, and I think the price that he is going into today's race, I know he hasn't met State Man before, but I can't believe that he's not a better horse than him. Today we will get an answer to that, hopefully, and hopefully it will just be a fair, clean race where we get a proper answer. And I think he's got the potential to be up with the greats that Nick has mentioned in 2 mile hurdlers. And 2 mile hurdlers are a great thing to watch when they zip along and they can jump fast. And, you know, for all that you love the Gold Cup and stamina in horses and things like that, watching fast horses is largely what gets you going, isn't it? And he has got gears that he hasn't needed to use yet. Well, you assume that he's got gears that he hasn't needed to use yet. And the gears that he's shown us look like his lower ones, and he's been far too good for horses. So I think it's just so exciting that we might get to see how good he is, because they'll will want to put on a little bit of a show today as well, I think. Hopefully he is able to do that, and hopefully there isn't any bumps in the road for him.
Let's hope not. Let's check out then that win, that brilliant performance in the Supreme Novice Hurdle here last year, which lifted the curtain on the 2022 Cheltenham Festival. Lisa, I think most of the crowd watching on were stunned by just how he kicked these horses aside. Obviously we'd already lost Iso Dynamo by this stage, but what's your feeling about how good this horse could be potentially?
I love the way we just don't know where his ceiling lies. Everything he's done so far in his career has been so exciting, and he's just proven that he is as good as what was expected of him. It's just so exciting, even in the Supreme last year, the way he just, I suppose, brushed aside John Bon and Kilcruitin behind him, but the manner in which he hit the line as well and pulled well clear of the rest of his rivals was just, it was actually breathtaking, to be honest. And it's exciting that he's gone from out of novice company and proven himself even further. And it's just, I just think it's so exciting, the fact that we just don't know how good he is, and what he can do today is, I suppose, remains an unknown. But I hate to say we've awarded him the race before it's even happened, but he's just been so good so far. He's flawless, his temperament is so good as well, he's tactically quite versatile. If you're to be a bit critical in Kempton here, I thought maybe he leaned a little bit to his right from the back of the last. He made a little bit of a hash of the last, but yet again I think he actually beat Epitante this day much better than he actually beat her at Newcastle in the previous run. But just the way he's pulled well clear of a previous Champion Hurl winner as well. It's exciting to watch, and I'm sure it's exciting for connections.
We've seen Nico de Bonville there. We're getting used to the sight now, Chris. He's almost able to salute the crowd for the last 75 yards of his races, this guy, isn't he?
He looks like he's doing a half speed there, doesn't he? It's a Grade 1 with a former champion hurdler in second, and he's just absolutely wiped the floor with her and the rest of them, and he did the same at Newcastle. So then you see, once he was out of the way, what she was able to do, and he does just wow you with what he's got. And it's worth pointing out again the time of last year's Supreme, because it's not just visuals with this fella, it is backed up by the clock, which really doesn't lie. And depending on whether you take the official time or the time form one, which I'd probably lean towards taking myself, the time form clock stopped about 8 seconds faster than the Champion Hurdle last year. He finished the race faster, he ran the overall race faster. Every point of the race he was quicker. He's an absolute monster.
How are they going to ride him today, Chris, do you think? Will it depend on what happens at the start?
To some extent, I think they'll be handy with a lead, won't they? I don't think they're going to try and overcomplicate it, pop him into his comfort zone, and just see where he traps along. There's a couple of bigger priced horses that can be free going front runners in there, the likes of Jason the Militant, Not So Sleepy. I would think he'll just sit where he's comfortable and see how far that takes him.
Okay, he is of course trained by a man whose history here at Cheltenham really speaks for itself. Nicky Henderson, let's hear from him now.
Nicky, Constitution Hill this season, as you've said in the past, has been flawless up until this point. He's done everything that you've asked of him and some.
He makes it look very simple. He can make the running, he doesn't have to make the running, he switches off, he jumps, he travels, and then he's got a gear, and it's a pretty good one too. But as I say, I think his greatest asset is just his brain, that he's so level-headed. You could do anything with him, you can put him anywhere, he could do anything, and it doesn't worry him. Nothing phases him. He's not going to, he probably will, having said all this, but I mean, he doesn't boil over or let the atmosphere get to him, and he gets a bit of, it's rather like the Sprinter and Altior days when the crowd were sort of on top of them, and they knew what was going on, but this fellow just doesn't seem to bother about it at all. He doesn't care.
You're well accustomed to horses of this nature that people get very, very excited about. They ache to see them on the racecourse. Is there something just a little bit more heightened with him, perhaps, though, than say, the superstars that you've had in recent years? There just seems to be something slightly elevated with him.
Well, I suppose it's funny because he's only had 5 races in his life. So it's extraordinary for a horse that's been seen so little. And that's not by intention, it's just that he's just a young horse, he's only in his, he hasn't really started yet. So to get to his sort of elevated position at this young age is sort of surprising, yes. I mean, obviously, he's caught everybody's imagination because of the way he does it. And even to be coming into a champion hurdle with only 5 runs under his belt, but he doesn't seem to need any, I mean, he's not lacking in experience, he knows what he's doing.
I'm sure Nicky Henderson will be a relieved man just when the race is finally done and dusted this afternoon. Hopefully the right outcome for him at Constitution Hill. Let's have a look though at some of his opposition, and clearly the main threat, if there is to be one today, is Stateman, who has pretty much an unblemished record for Willie Mullins apart from that fall on his debut. That's a long time ago now. And Lisa, we're going to have a look at his win in the Irish Champion Hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival last time. Vauban in 3rd on this occasion, and Zanahiyr back in 5th. Any reason why you won't confirm the form with those behind?
I don't think so. I thought it was quite simple for him on this day. Paul Townend elected to jump out and make the run, and Zanahiyr sat in behind. Honeysuckle sat on his girth as much and pushed him along really. Vauban dropped in and Pied Piper on the inside, but I love the way he quickened it up. He done it so smoothly as well and effortlessly, and I think he's a horse that's really progressed and improved the whole way. And I thought this was a quite taken performance, to be fair. Vauban in the back as well, he stays on quite well, and Zanahiyr, he actually hit the line running. It's probably a better performance than we've seen of him for the entire season of this season, but just the way the horse quickened all the way to the line, it's exceptional. And I think he is the best two mile hurler we have in Ireland at this very moment. And I know he's below Constitution Hill on ratings, but he's here to prove himself today. He has to step up, and he has potential to do that, but I don't think he's going to overturn the favourite.
He probably would be a worthy market leader, Chris, in any normal year of the Champion Hurdle, but it just doesn't look to be a normal year this year. Is he a realistic threat? I mean, how close can he make Constitution Hill work, do you think?
I don't expect that he will be able to, but he's obviously a smart horse, and he shouldn't be completely underestimated. As Lisa said, we're kind of crowning Constitution Hill before the event, and there's always a danger when you do that, that it goes belly up, I suppose, and it's probably the last thing Nicky Henderson's wanting to be hearing, that everyone just thinks it's a foregone conclusion, because I'm sure he'll be sat there thinking, I've got good horses to beat, and Stateman is the best of the horses that he's got to beat. Like Lisa, I was impressed with the way that he quickened on from horses there. He was able to dictate the terms of the race, I think, at Leopardstown, but he still showed the gears to stretch clear of the rest of them. I think the thing for Stateman today, the potential reason that he maybe couldn't give his running, because it seems fairly obvious that he's better than the rest of them to me, bar Constitution Hill. But I can see a scenario where that isn't how it works out today, because I think they're in a position where they've got to try and beat Constitution Hill, whereas I think quite a few others, they want to win the Champion Hurdle, but realistically they're kind of thinking, what can we get behind Constitution Hill?
Maximise the games.
Yeah, and it's what you see with really good horses, the exceptional horses, is that they can break other very good horses when they try and race them. And with Stateman potentially trying to go on and beat Constitution Hill, is Constitution so good that he breaks another genuine Grade 1 horse? I think he might be. And that's, when you're looking at it thinking, why might Stateman not produce? Could it be that he tries to get racing and pays the price for that, and then someone picks up the pieces? Could it be Vauban, who maybe wasn't seen to good effect tactically in the race?
And is almost certain to be ridden the same again today, Vauban, isn't he?
Going to be trying to pick up the pieces. So that would be my way of sort of looking at the race. I hope that that's not how it plays out, really. I hope that Constitution Hill runs his race. I hope that Stateman runs his race, and the pair of them are well on top of the rest, with Constitution well on top of Stateman.
OK, let's have a look at I Like to Move It then, who thrust himself forward as a potential each-way candidate, at very least, with this win in the Kingwell Hurdle at Wincanton last time. A lot of people were really impressed by this, Chris. Were you one of them?
Yeah, I thought the race lacks a little bit of depth, but as I said earlier, the clock doesn't lie, and this is, outside of Constitution Hill, of any of these horses this season, this is the best time figure that any horse has put up. But he's done it on a sharp track on quick ground, and look at his action. He's a good moving horse, and I know he's got soft ground winning form in his bumper days and early on over hurdles around Worcester, but he's basically a quick action horse who I think, if this had been a good ground champion hurdle, I'd have fancied him to run a good race at a track that he clearly likes. But I think on this ground it might just blunt him a little bit.
OK, that is Nigel Twiston-Davis, flag bearer. I Like to Move It. Final thoughts then, guys. Give us your 1, 2, 3, Lisa. How do you see it playing out?
I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go Constitution Hill. I think Stateman, obviously. I'd love if Stateman could make a race of it down to the last. I think that'd be exceptional. Might give us all a lift, but ultimately Constitution Hill, Stateman, and I'm going to go Vauban into a place.
I would have to agree with that. I think Vauban might be able, as you said, Chris, just to maybe arrive late on the scene and claim the bronze medal. What way do you see it playing?
Just to be different, I'll go Constitution Hill to beat Vauban into the silver medal position for the reasons that I've said, and I still think even if that happens that Stateman will beat the rest of them for third.
Good stuff. OK, there we have it. We're all looking forward to getting the answer to the burning question. We'll find out if Constitution Hill lives up to the hype in the Champion Hurdle at 3:30 this afternoon.
Mark your card. Proudly sponsored by Timeform.
The Cheltenham Festival is finally here, and when you Betfair this week,
This is it. Let's go!
you get so much more to build your roar. Build your multiple. Build the roar. Get a £10 free bet when you bet £10 worth of multiples, available every day at Cheltenham. Betfair.
As a member of Racing TV, you get access to dedicated live racecourse feeds through Racing TV Extra. All you need to do is log in with your Racing TV username and password. Racing TV Extra puts you in control, so you can focus on the races or meetings that matter to you. If watching on a desktop, tablet or Apple TV, you can select from 1 to 4 live screens. On mobile phones and Amazon Fire TV, single screen options are available. Never miss a moment of action with Racing TV Extra at racingtv.com.
Mark your card. Proudly sponsored by Timeform.
OK, the next thing to do, mark your card, this first day of the Cheltenham Festival, having looked at the Champion Hurdle, is to have a look at the race, which is going to begin with the biggest roar of the lot, the Supreme Novices Hurdle. And the prices as followed at the moment with Betfair. We've got Facile Vega 7-4, the horse who beat him. Il Était Temps at 9-2, Marine Nationale, who hasn't been seen for a long time, but a clear talent, 9-2. In the pocket is now 9-1. Tamuras, who is the shortest of the British, 11-1. Diverge 20-1. High Definition 20-1. Dr. Bravo 22-1. Rare Edition, I'll be talking about him a little bit later, 22-1. Chasing Fire 28, and it's 33-1. And bigger the rest. Very much looking forward to this race. Of course, it is the race that the meeting begins with, and that huge roar from the capacity crowd will accompany the runners down at the start of the 2-mile race. There is going to be a fair buzz around the Willie Mullins runners, of course. Il Était Temps looking to confirm the form with this fella. This is Facile Vega. Facile Vega, who was a brilliant winner of the Champion Bumper in pretty horrendous conditions last year, the son of the 6-time winner at the Cheltenham Festival, Vega. The world has been at his feet, but the wheels did come off last time behind Il Était Temps, it's transpired. A lot was talked about the race at the time, at the Dublin Racing Festival, and in the weeks since then, but the vibes are pretty strong indeed. But there you go, look, form 1115 this year. There is that question based on last time. It's a question that's going to need to be answered at 1:30 a little bit later on. I have to say, personally, I'd be taking him on. But I want to know what the guys think. Do we just go, Gary, as simple as Facile Vega put that down to a one-off last time, or not?
Well, I think as a punter, you'd have to be a little bit wary about taking that sort of price about a horse who did blow out last time. That's my own view, Nick, but maybe the guys will differ. At least he's going to be a key horse for a lot of people today, isn't he, Facile Vega? It looks as though punters are happy enough to get behind them, but would you have doubts about him perhaps after that run last time?
Yeah, I wouldn't be so sure, to be honest, Gary. I was in the parading at Leopardstown when he left to go down to the start, and he was on his toes. He was quite highly strung leaving the parading, and he's like a bubbling pot ready to explode sometimes, and he did do that. He did in Leopardstown when he was taken on by High Definition at the front end. Obviously they're going to revert and change tactics today, which will hopefully be played to his advantage, and hopefully he'll be able to settle and preserve his energy. But this was very disappointing for me. He was up the front end, High Definition on his outside. This is where we lose High Definition, I think. But I think for me, to be honest, Gary, the first race, the first day, the excitement, the hype, the atmosphere, if anything is going to get to him, I think that could.
Chris, just give us your thoughts on how this unfolded. All the talk was about really Facile Vega afterwards.
Yeah.
Has the winner been overlooked a touch? I thought that might have been the case personally.
Yeah, I think that probably is fair enough. Obviously, the focus afterwards was on Facile Vega because he was turned over at such a short price. He did end up going a little bit too quick, but the only reason for that really was that High Definition was sort of keeping him a little bit too honest on his outside. But that's part and parcel of being a good horse, isn't it? Being able to react to that and not getting buzzed up by those things. I'm sure that they will ride him different this time around, and I think that will result in him getting back to some kind of form. But as we were saying earlier, even allowing for going quite quick can't be the only thing at play there, can it?
No, I don't think so. And I was fascinated, actually, Chris, chatting to JJ Slevin the other day at Leopardstown. First time I'd really spoken to him about it. He said he didn't feel like he was going that fast on High Definition. What do you make of that?
I don't think they were going stupidly quick. I really don't. I think they were probably overdoing it a bit, but it wasn't like a complete pace collapse of those in behind. The ones that came to the fore weren't really tired horses, having done the running to get to them. So, yeah, I don't think it was as bad as maybe it was made out to be on the day. And I think there is an element of Il Était Temps being overlooked. Having said that, if I was taking a horse out of that race today, I think I'd probably go for the placed horses. I think In the Pocket, who obviously they were yo-yoing in and out of this, weren't they? I think the decision was made based on how testing the ground is. He should have been a bit closer, I thought, at Leopardstown, and I think a well-run race on testing ground at this trip is likely to suit him. And Dark Raven's going to have to jump a little bit better, and he's inexperienced, but he's got some engine the way that he travels.
In the Pocket in particular has been well backed for today's race. I think around about an 8-1 shot now. Lisa, it had been a different story when Facile Vega met Il Était Temps at Leopardstown's Christmas Festival. We'll have a look back at that race now. I mean, how relevant is that as far as what's going to happen today, do you think? Is this the real Festival Vega that we should expect to see here?
Yeah, it is, and I hate to be hard on him. Like, is he a bad horse considering he just had one bad run? You know, he came here last year and he was emphatic in the champion bumper, but Il était Temps was keen at this stage as well. He tends to be keen in his races, that's why he wears the hood, drops in a little bit for a bit of cover, but Festival Vega, he's still improving, and obviously he missed a few hurls. I think he missed the second last this stage, but from the back of the last, I think everyone was expecting fireworks this day. We didn't get fireworks really, but at the end of the day he done what he had to do. He pulled about 4 or 5 lengths clear of Il était Temps, and this was a good performance overall. I thought some people cribbed and crabbed about it, thinking that he should have done a better performance, but I thought it was quite good. But obviously going into the Dublin Racing Festival, it was disappointing then, but there was a few ailments. He turned up, he was reported to be lame after it as well, so we do have to take that into consideration, and I'm sure he's coming here with good heart, but he does have to bounce back from the disappointing run the last day. Can he do that? I'm just concerned about the atmosphere beforehand.
Okay, let's find out what Willie Mullins thinks. Of course, he's got 4 runners: Festival Vega, Il était Temps, Diverge and Dark Raven. Here he is, Ireland's champion trainer.
Festival Vega, who just over-raced, and he's by walking the park, and they maybe think a little bit more about it. But I think we'll just change our tactics maybe for the next day with him. But he's still got a huge engine, you know, and if I can get him there in one piece, he's come out of the race fine, so he'll go for that race.
You've always thought the world of him, like from his bumper days.
Yeah, and you know, in his bumpers, Patrick was able to ride him back in the field, and I'm sure Paul will just do that the next time. It's just the setup of the race the last day. Maybe we overanalyzed it. Maybe we should have just. But there you are. We learned an awful lot from that, and it might stand to us in the future.
And Il était Temps actually won the race, and he's a second season novice.
Yeah, that's right. He showed up very well his first run for us last year, and we decided that this could be a Grade 1 horse, and eventually he did win it. And I think there's a lot of improvement in him because his jumping is not as, he's not fluent yet. He jumps some of the hurls very fluently down the back. Danny was delighted with him. He missed the first, I think he missed the last. So if he can get those little things right, he's going to improve as well.
So the thoughts there of Willie Mullins in particular regarding Festival Vega and Il était Temps. We're going to move on now to a horse I know Chris has got a lot of time for, trained by Barry Connell. This is Marine Nationale, who was put on ice after winning the Royal Bond Novice Hurdle at Fairyhouse in early December. Ridden by Michael O'Sullivan, of course, the £5 claimer, is entrusted with the mount again today. And Chris, Barry Connell's confidence in his 2 runners coming to Cheltenham has been quite something, hasn't it, in the run-up? It's almost like a boxer ahead of a title fight, isn't it? It's great to see.
Is he that way out normally? Because I don't... Has he normally got that level of confidence? Would he be that kind of character? Is it just that he's that excited by what he's got? I mean, I think Marine Nationale has looked... I think potentially he is the best horse in the race. I don't think the margin here does him any sort of justice. I think he's miles better than what he wins by. I thought he did pretty well to win on the day. My concern with it, I would have been really, really sweet on him on sort of easy side of good to soft in places maybe. The ground having got more testing, my worry is whether it is going to be a little bit softer than he ideally wants it, and maybe he'll get outstayed. But I think he's a high-class horse. I think we've seen that from him. I think he's got better to come. And as you said, they put him on ice since early December. That is a brave call, but they're obviously happy to do it, and that's always been the plan. It's not as if there was something that he's missed along the way. And if you look at Barry Connell's record this year, when he's wanted a horse to be ready for something, it's been ready. They've almost all run their race when they've needed to, haven't they? So why wouldn't it be the same again?
Absolutely. Huge day for Michael O'Sullivan as well. Is he high on your list, Lisa?
I'm not as confident as Chris is, to be honest. I agree. I think the ground might be a bit of a concern. I know the connections were worried about it going into the Royal Bond that day as well, and I just questioned the form. I was a bit suspect. Obviously, the champ Kylie was the favourite that day, and he didn't really, I suppose, run up to scratch. He was a little bit disappointing. Irish Point, he was a bit disappointing at the Dublin Racing Festival as well. I know he won the other day, but I would just question the form a little bit, and for me, Marine National, his best form was on better conditions, so that's my only concern. Obviously, Barry Connell and Connections are very bullish about their chances, so look, it's fantastic for them to come here, not just with one but with two, with Goodland later on in the week as well. So I think he could have a good each way chance. I wouldn't be seeing him in the winners' enclosure.
Okay, let's move on to the home team then. We'll have a look now at Tamuras, who was the winner of the Tolworth Hurdle at Sandown, and of course this guy carries the colours of the Noel Feely Racing Syndicate, Chris, which has had a wonderful time of things really in the last 12 months. Where does he fit into the scheme of things? An 11-1 shot currently.
Yeah, I think on proven form he is the best of the home team. Whether that continues to be the case, I'm not so sure. He's going to have to jump better. I think we saw in the Tolworth up the straight, the couple there, he wasn't great, and if he jumps like that here against better quality rivals, and they are going to be better quality rivals in a Grade 1 that includes the Irish contenders, then he's going to have to jump a lot better. He's probably not doing a great deal in front. The horses that he beats have come out and boosted the form in a sense, but they've only boosted it within their own little pool. And I think on balance, the Irish form is just stronger than the British form. Okay, it does look a really strong renewal of this race, I would have to say. Chris, sum it up for us. Where do you see the prize going? I'm hoping that it goes with Marine National. I'd be surprised if the prize doesn't go back to Ireland somewhere. Sum it up, Marine National, hopefully. I'm going to go Elite Tom, but Lisa, I do expect a good run out of Gordon's horse, Dr. Bravo. Give us a word about him and maybe give us your final thoughts as well. Yeah, he's a really nice horse. He's come over, travelled over and settled in quite well. He's a big horse too. I think he's a little bit underestimated in the betting. I think he's got a good each way chance. He'll have no problem handling the ground at all. My only concern is they went quite slow in the Red Mills trial, but that was his first try out in novice company as well, up against much more experienced horses. It was a massive step up. He's back in novice company today. He's obviously up in grade as well, but I think he's a really nice horse. He has loads of stamina as well, and he'll be doing his best work at the finish. What a race to kick things off. The Sky Bet Supreme Novice Hurdle at 1:30. I think we're heading back to Niall.
Well, the gates are open, the fans are on their way for day one of the Cheltenham Festival. What's the best bit of today?
All of it. All of it. I love the racing. I love where we're down. We're made our way into the village down here, and there's lots going on. Indeed, and we spotted this bus, which looks absolutely amazing. It's almost like an old route master. What's on the bus? Well, we're going to find out, aren't we? Do you think we'll see Neil Phillips here? Oh, hello.
Hello, Rachel. Morning. Morning.
Long time no see.
Absolutely. It's good to see you, mate.
Likewise.
Here we are, Night Timber. Absolutely fantastic. We've got Sophie Robertson here, ambassador for Night Timber, joining us, and we're going to go in, Niall. We're going to go in, Rachel. We've got lots of
We're going in already. We haven't even chatted about where we are or what we've got on offer.
I'm not going straight in.
I feel, Sophie, you're going to have a lot of stuff if we're going straight in already. How much are you looking forward to today?
Oh, so much. It's so fantastic to be back here. We were here last year, and to come back, Orchard is completely different. The sun is out. It is fantastic.
Right,
we
can go in now.
We're sort of lucky, aren't we? Because it's been raining. It was pretty horrid yesterday evening, and 8 o'clock this morning it wasn't looking great, but the sun's out now, and it is important for venues.
It is important in terms of the whole hospitality piece here. I mean, there's 75 bars on course, 22 restaurants, 3,000 people working in hospitality. Yeah. Driving on this morning, we've had sleet. But I think, we've got some great wines here to taste, haven't we, Sophie? So actually tell us what we're going to taste here, because Rachel, I know, loves bubbles.
Absolutely, yeah. So today we're going with the Classic Cuvée. And for those who don't know Night Timber, we're based down in West Sussex, original pioneers of the English wine industry, and that we planted our vines back in 1988. Classic Cuvée is very much our flagship. It's the most important wine of the range for us. So it has to represent excellent quality. We make it in a multi-vintage style, which means many years in one, and it should represent that consistency so that people feel familiar that it's the classic cuvée they know and love.
Absolutely. Well, I think we ought to pass the glass over to Rachel.
Yes,
I'm going to give Niall a glass.
Always ready.
This is right up your street.
This is right. Well, it is.
I feel this could be up your street now.
Come on,
today.
Niall. This is. Come on, have a cheers.
Are we going in? Yes.
Yeah, we're going in. Come on.
Got to start on bubbles.
Cheltenham Festival. Come on.
Wow. Happy
with that? Come on. This is. I'm going to give you a nice. Good. It is lovely. It is Come on, Rachel, that's your style. You love that. It's really creamy.
This is why I'm here. Beautiful.
Sorry, I'm doing your tasting.
No, of course.
Sorry,
No,
but it is.
I'll just kick back.
Very early for kicking back in.
You want to go steady this time in the morning?
It's gone. It's disappeared. Look at that.
We enjoyed that. It was
Didn't even touch the
Very
side.
good.
Beautiful, that's beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's elegant. It's really creamy. I'll tell you something which I think you've done brilliant is the consistency as well. That's what you're getting out of it. And Sherry Spriggs is doing a fantastic job as your winemaker as well. And brilliant job there. But classic cuvee and bottle.
So classic cuvee for us is that classic blend. So it gets its name, classic cuvee, from being that classic blend.
Sorry, multitasking.
You're not doing a very good job at multitasking.
No, what's going on there?
So it's the classic blend of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, that blend that we know and love from Champagne, but made down in English, well, sort of in Sussex. The idea behind classic cuvee is that it should be fresh, sort of quite fruity, but also very toasty from the lees aging, because all of our wines see a minimum of around 3 years on lees in bottle. Just meaning that's where you get those lovely kind of brioche, toasty characteristics as well as the fruit.
And down here today, can you just walk in, or do you have to book these tables?
No, please come see us.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so attractive, isn't it? I mean, it's just beautifully. It's almost just a remastered old coach. And also, this is just something that's at all these iconic sporting events. And I have looked at it before at other events, and there is like a little, you just have to raise your finger. I mean, there might be too many people to do it. Press for Night Timber. Yeah, it's like the press button for champagne, which is really popular.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's always a fun time. I think just, again, partnering with such great British institutions, it's just perfect to kind of repurpose a Route Master, very iconic sort of British heritage. And we love to bring it along. We love to have people on board having a glass with us.
And after COVID, is it sort of extra special to bounce back and to try and get back to where we were?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think we are back?
I mean, we're here.
Well, I think we're back. I'll tell you what, I think we should open that Magnum.
I do.
We should do that as well. Rachel, yeah.
I like your style.
Well, come on, it is a great location here in the Orchard. It's brilliant. It's always so popular. It's a great piece. As you say, Rachel, with the Route Master bus as well. It looks fantastic. Also here as well, you have your rosé as well, Sophie, as well. So that's so again, if those rosé fans, which there are loads of us as well, including Niall.
I do like rosé.
Good. Yeah, good. And now Magnum, come on, so you've got, what's the difference here, obviously, apart from size? What is the difference in terms of the style here?
So Magnums, I think everyone knows, are twice the fun. But outside of that, I don't think everyone necessarily knows that you also get a much more interesting sort of complex wine for that. So really, as I mentioned, multi-vintage with classic cuvee, but we always lead off one base vintage. So in 750, it's currently 2018, which was a fantastic vintage, supported with base reserves. The Magnum, because you have a larger body of wine but a smaller sort of head space, smaller space between the wine and the cork, we actually age it for much longer. So this wine has seen 6 years on its lees in bottle. So substantial sort of toasty, brioche, lovely kind of pastry characteristics in there. And yeah, just a delight.
So you've kind of saved a wine that's been in that bottle for 6 years for Niall Hannity today.
So yes, we have. Just for
a lot of people think, what a waste.
What a waste.
Right, here you go.
So, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
Thank
please.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you got one.
So, will
for
you
yourself?
notice the difference? Obviously, I won't,
but I will. One of the things here, which is great for all the guests here today, because they've got the opportunity to buy a bottle of Bio Magnum as well. It's just the depth of flavour here. It's really the.
Can you tell the difference between the other one?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah,
Can you?
I can.
I can't.
Look
They're both very nice.
Yeah.
They're both very nice, but I can't tell the difference.
Because I just think you've got a bit more of the richness here, a bit more of the toastiness here. One of the great things about these wines is the freshness as well. That really brings you back to the wine. It's fantastic. And it's a great experience, because years ago, to be honest, if you've spoken to people about trying
It's nice.
Niall enjoyed that one as well. As much as you enjoyed the bottle as well. That was great.
Have you ever seen the Night Timber wine disappear so fast at this bus?
He's building up to the first round. Yeah, he's building up to the roar at 1:30.
We need winners. So, do you follow the racing as well?
Ooh, I'm quite the expert. No, Neil, please help.
He's not an expert. What do you fancy?
I fancy Oscar Elite.
Run well in the race last year.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a very deep Ultima.
No.
The green would be a slight worry for him.
Maybe a bit, but I think he's only £1 different to last year. And the other thing was, he was probably when he came around home bend last year, he looked like he was going to win, didn't he? I think they should just hold him back a bit longer this year.
Tizzers have won the race before. I know Rachel's making a case for Stable Companion in the big breakaway. His stamina's proven.
Yes, yeah, he'll love it, won't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a very, very hard race, isn't it? And
I think Corrick Ramder deserves to be favoured. I think he's just rock solid.
I think it might be going to Team UK.
Yes, it will. It will be going.
The Martin Brazel horse, I think he's only 3 runs over fences. But he could be very well handicapped. He ran well in the Coral Cup here last year. So maybe, I know they've got a good record in it, but why is that? Maybe because there's an Irish National a few weeks' time. There's been a Paddy Power at Leopardstown, Thyestes Chase, but Maximum Field, it'll be a good spectacle.
No, it will be. And actually, just talking about Irish horses, I fancy in the Boodles, Sir Alan. I really do. I think Sir Alan's very rock solid, determined, very genuine, and I could really see him adapting to Cheltenham as well.
I was hoping the Skelton's Punted to Less might run well in that.
Right, all this might run well. Sophie's here and she's thinking, how am I going to make it?
Sorry.
Hold on.
I should just give you one tip.
Sophie's thinking, how am I going to make some money today?
Oscar release.
Right, just give us 4 for the day. How about 4 for the day?
Right, okay, 4 for the day. Maurice Brock, okay, wins the Mares. What a fantastic race. Oscar Elite in the Ultima. I think Sir Alan definitely in the Boodles.
You're remembering all this, Sophie.
Writing it down.
There we go. And we were back here enjoying a Magnum a bit later on, weren't we?
And what about yourself, Niall, for Sophie and all the team here?
Punted to Less in the Boodles. And the last, obviously, the favourite's very short, and I can see it. I think he'll win, but Cornetti's got a couple of good chances. What else?
What about in the spring?
Fastal Vega obviously could be hard to beat, but I thought Stable Companion Ellie Thompson, who last time out was good at Leopardstown. The handicappers got him officially in both rated 150, 145 each. I thought he could go well.
Does Constitution Hill?
Constitution Hill, I think very straightforward. I think I like to move it, make the running, and he'll just stalk in third, fourth. And you want in racing, you want superstars, and he looks the next superstar. And you'd like to see him do it in a champion hurdle. And we were talking earlier, me and Rachel going on about Nicky Henderson's record in the race. It's amazing. So we want superstars, and coming into the 4 days, he's the horse that is the standout, the poster boy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. It's going to be a very emotional day as well if Honeysuckle wins the Mares. Rachel, what about you? Come on.
Ooh, I would love Honeysuckle to win. I would absolutely love if she did. I know that she wasn't at her best the last couple of times, but it would be a great day for the girls, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Bring it on.
And before we go, how many bottles, roughly, do we get through at Cheltenham?
Ooh, goodness. Quite a few.
It won't be long until you've got everybody, all the tables full up here. I know from experience.
Definitely,
So make sure you come back down here because it's a great spot at the auction.
Yeah, I could contribute to some of
those bottles. Well, it is a good spot because you're only 50 metres from the horse walkway. The last hurdle, literally sits there, so it's not